You don't forget the night your whole life gets ripped out from under you. Mine started with a phone buzz at 3:18 a.m. I was sitting in the cab of my work van, parked outside a gas station on the edge of town, guzzling the last of a vending machine coffee. I just wrapped a 13-hour emergency HVAC job at an old retirement home with no working heat. My knees were shot, my hands raw from metal cuts, and I was running on fumes. The message was from my wife, Tanya. It just said, "Water leaking through the ceiling in the den. Fix it. Now." No, please. No, are you okay? Just an order, like I was her handyman instead of her husband. My name's Mark, I'm 37, and up until that week, I thought I was married to the woman I'd grow old with. Tanya's 39. She's got a son, Leo, 19, cocky, full of piss and vinegar. Never liked me. Not once in the 5 years I'd been in his life. But I tried. God, I tried. Bought him tires for his used Mustang, paid for his community college books, even helped him get a job at a warehouse through my buddy Rich. All while he barely grunted a thank you, acting like I was an intruder in his mother's life. Looking back, I should have trusted my gut. That kid had it out for me from day one. But I chalked it up to the usual stepdad-stepkid tension. He was just a boy when Tanya and I got together, still dealing with his dad running off. And yeah, maybe I was tight with money. I work long hours for what I bring home. Tanya liked her shopping sprees, clothes, skincare, little home decor knickknacks from those overpriced stores downtown. I'd get on her case about it. Maybe a little too often. I just didn't want us drowning in debt. Still, I never saw what was coming. After I got that message, I could have said screw it and gone home to sleep. But it was our house. A leak can rot out a ceiling fast, especially if it's storming like it was that night. So I drove across town, every raindrop smacking the windshield like gravel. Wipers going full blast. By the time I got home, it was after 4 a.m. I didn't even take off my work boots, just grabbed a flashlight, the ladder, and a bucket of tools. My back felt like it was fused into one solid knot. I climbed up on that slick roof in sideways rain with wind whipping my jacket open, nearly knocking me over more than once. It took me 40 minutes of slipping and swearing, hands raw from the grit, before I found where the water was seeping through. Loose shingles and an old seal giving out. I patched what I could with roof cement and hoped it'd hold through the storm. By the time I climbed down, I was soaked, bleeding from a couple knuckle scrapes, and dead on my feet. I walked inside expecting maybe a towel, a thanks, even just eye contact. Tanya was at the kitchen table, scrolling her phone like it was noon on a Sunday. She looked up just long enough to say, "Hope you sealed it right." That water was hitting the TV stand. That was it. No, are you okay? No, did you fall off the roof and break your neck? Just attitude. I said, "I'll get it professionally looked at this weekend, but it's sealed for now." She didn't even look up. Just muttered, "Whatever." I should have said something then. Should have snapped. But all I could do was mumble, "I'm crashing," and shuffle down the hall. I collapsed face down on the bed, boots and all. Cold, soaked, still bleeding. The sheets were clean. She must have just washed them. That thought made something in my chest twist. Like maybe she'd done it for someone else. I passed out. Next thing I know, I'm waking up with sunlight stabbing through the blinds. My back screamed in protest when I rolled over. Clock said 9:45 a.m. I'd been out maybe 5 hours. Tanya was standing over me, arms crossed, face tight. Behind her, in the doorway, was Leo shirtless, arms folded, this smug little grin on his face. I blinked. What's going on? That's when I noticed the trash bags. 3 of them, lined up by the dresser. One half unzipped with my shirts hanging out. Tanya said flatly, "You're leaving." I sat up too fast. Pain spiked through my shoulder blades. "What?" "You're dead weight," she said, eyes burning. I deserve better. I found better. I thought I'd misheard her. "What the hell are you talking about?" Leo tossed something onto the bed. "My truck keys. Mom says you're out." "Go cry somewhere else," he said, barely holding back a laugh. I looked around the room like maybe this was a prank. My wallet was still on the nightstand, flipped open. I reached for it. Empty. $200 gone. Just gone. "You stole my money?" I asked, stunned. Tanya shrugged. "It's joint money. You don't own me. I lost it. I've been paying the bills, working night shifts, fixing your damn house." She waved a hand. "Save it. I'm seeing someone. Someone who doesn't bitch about money every 5 minutes." That stung. But what Leo said next hit even harder. "I introduced them," he said proudly. "My boss from the warehouse. He's got real cash. Treats her way better than you ever did." I looked at Tanya. She didn't deny it. just smiled. Not a warm smile, something else. Cold and triumphant. I could barely speak. You set your mom up with your boss? Leo snorted. Steve's a good guy. You're not. I should have thrown something. Should have screamed. But I didn't have it in me. My hands still stung from patching her roof 5 hours earlier. Instead, I stood up slowly. My legs were shaking. We'll see what a lawyer says about the house, I muttered. Tanya's voice jumped an octave. Get out now, or I call the cops. I looked at her like I didn't know who she was anymore. Because I didn't. Leo had his phone out, filming. In case you flip out, he said, grinning. Want proof you're dangerous. That was the trap. They wanted me to blow up. To yell, shove, break something. Give them an excuse. So I did the only thing I could do. I stuffed those trash bags in the back of my truck. My stuff. My boots thudded down the front steps. My hands were still bleeding. My shirt clung to me from last night's storm. I got in my truck. And I drove. Didn't even know where I was going. But I knew this much. That house wasn't my home anymore. And Tanya, the woman I once thought I'd grow old with, she just left me bleeding, broke, and humiliated after I patched her roof at 4 in the goddamn morning. I didn't drive far that first morning. Just enough to get away from the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I ended up behind a 24-hour supermarket on the edge of town. The rain had stopped, but everything still looked wet, pavement slick, sky gray, windshield fogged. I parked, turned the engine off, and just sat there. Trash bags of my clothes stuffed in the back. My wallet empty. My wife in my house with her new boyfriend, apparently handpicked by her son. I should have been furious. Should have been smashing the steering wheel or yelling into the roof. But I didn't have it in me yet. It wasn't rage, it was shock. Like getting hit in the face with a brick and just sitting there, trying to figure out why your teeth feel loose. That whole morning felt like static. I stared out the windshield and barely moved. I kept checking my phone, not even sure what I was hoping for. A message from Tanya? A call? Some pathetic apology? Nothing came. I texted her once. Where's the rest of my stuff? Read. No reply. I opened the console and found a half-eaten pack of peanut butter crackers. That was lunch. I chewed them down slowly while watching delivery trucks come and go. By nightfall, I drove to an industrial lot I used to work near and parked under a broken streetlight. Slept sitting up with my sweatshirt rolled up under my neck. Or tried to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Leo's face, that smug little smirk as he filmed me hauling my life out in garbage bags. The next morning, I used my company gym card to sneak in a shower and brush my teeth. My knuckles were still scraped from crawling around in the attic. I'd patched that leak for her hours before she told me to get out. And now here I was, hunched over a sink in a public gym, trying to clean blood off my hands with a paper towel. I showed up to work looking like I'd been hit by a bus. I tried to keep my head down, finish my maintenance rounds, and disappear before anyone noticed. But around noon, Darren caught up with me in the lot. Jesus, man, you look rough. I waved it off, but he didn't let up. Seriously, what happened? And I told him. Everything. Standing by my van with grease on my sleeves, I told him how Tanya kicked me out, how Leo set her up with his boss, how they emptied my wallet and tossed me out of my own bedroom. He didn't say much, just listened. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a spare key. I've got a couch. I hesitated. Come on, he said. I live 5 minutes from here. I've slept on worse things in the army. So that night, I slept under a real roof. Darren's apartment was small, second floor over an old print shop, but it was warm. After 2 nights at Darren's, the fog in my head started to clear. And once it did, I couldn't stop replaying everything. The bags were packed. That wasn't a spur-of-the-moment breakup. That was premeditated. She'd planned it out. Hell, even the note on the fridge looked like it had been written days earlier. Leo recording me wasn't spontaneous either. He was ready, waiting for that exact moment. And that's when I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. The house. It wasn't our house. It was mine. My uncle left it to me after he passed, years before I met Tanya. We talked about updating the deed after we got married, but it never happened. Life got busy. We didn't bother. That night, I stayed up on Darren's laptop digging through the county assessor's website. Took me half an hour to find what I was looking for. Sole owner, Mark Whitaker. Just me. Not joint. Not shared. Not community property. I stared at that screen for a long time, jaw tight. She didn't even have a legal right to the place. I printed the document. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Jack Elwell didn't waste time. Old guy, sharp eyes, voice like gravel. When I told him the story, he didn't flinch. "You got a hell of a mess here," he said. "But I've seen worse. If her name's not on the deed, and you never transferred ownership, the house is legally yours. What about all the stuff inside?" "Depends. But the house? That's yours. You want her out? We'll make it happen." Then he paused and added something I hadn't thought of. "Did she ever take out any loans against the house? Home equity lines, personal loans, anything like that?" "I don't think so," I said. "I never saw any paperwork." "Let's check anyway," he said. 2 days later, he called me back. She took out a personal loan, $22,000. Used the house as collateral. My stomach dropped. "What? She forged your signature. Sloppy job. You can clearly tell it's not your handwriting. We've got her dead to rights on fraud." "What did she use it for?" "She made some home purchases, furniture, electronics, stuff from boutique stores." And he flipped through some paperwork. "A down payment to a used dealership. Probably that car the kid's been driving." I leaned back, blinking hard. Tanya didn't just betray me. She robbed me. Robbed me and smiled while doing it. A few days later, I ran into her cousin, Rachel, at a gas station. She was always awkward around me, and that day she looked nervous, like she wasn't sure whether to wave or keep walking. She waved anyway. "Hey, Mark. I heard what happened." "Of course you did." She looked around, then lowered her voice. "I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything, but Tanya's been saying a lot to the family. Said you were dragging her down, being too controlling about money, that you wouldn't let her breathe." I nodded slowly. "She's been telling people that for a while, hasn't she?" Rachel hesitated. "Since the summer. She told us she was planning to leave. Said she just needed to time it right." That stung, but I kept my face still. "She waited until Leo turned 19, Rachel went on. Said she didn't want to feel like she had to run decisions by you anymore. Told us she was going to get the house one way or another. She never had a right to it," I said quietly. Rachel's eyes darted. "I know, but she told people she deserved it. Said she'd earned it for putting up with you." I let out a bitter laugh. And here I thought I was the one patching roofs and working night shifts. "She didn't tell anyone about the loan," Rachel added. "If she forged your name, that's serious. You gonna press charges?" "I'm figuring it out." Rachel took a step back. "Just be careful. She's pissed. And when she's pissed, she gets reckless." That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was sad, because I was done grieving. She took my money, my name, my house, and tried to bury me under guilt. But she forgot one thing. I'm still on the deed. And I'm not staying on this couch forever. The first few days after I found out about the forged loan, I didn't feel angry. I thought I would. But mostly, I just felt empty. Darren's couch was a backbreaker. I'd wake up every morning with a stiff neck and a pounding headache, but I couldn't tell if it was the springs under my ribs or the thoughts that wouldn't shut off. I was going through the motions at work, showing up, fixing broken thermostats, checking off job orders. But inside, I was just gone. It's a weird thing, losing your place in the world. You don't realize how much your routines depend on the people around you. Tanya used to text me reminders during the day: milk, laundry detergent, grab Leo's medicine. Even the fights over money were part of the rhythm. Now my phone was silent. No one waiting. No one asking where I was. And even knowing what she did, throwing me out, sleeping with her son's boss, forging my name on a loan, I still found myself reaching for my phone some nights, half expecting her name to pop up on the screen. She never called. Not once. Jack started filing the paperwork, first for the formal eviction, then for the fraud complaint. He told me to sit tight and not tip them off. If she got wind of what we were doing, she might try to sell the furniture or disappear with anything not bolted down. So I waited. But the waiting messed with my head. I kept thinking about little moments, dumb things. The way Tanya used to hum while folding laundry. Her habit of tapping her spoon on the edge of her mug 3 times before sipping coffee. I hated that my brain kept replaying those details, as if the woman I remembered hadn't been slowly setting me up for months. Even when I tried to distract myself, it found ways back in. One night, I passed a billboard for the dealership Leo bought his new car from. That $22,000 loan Tanya took out using my name, part of it had paid for that down payment. I started gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. But the anger never boiled over. It just simmered. Quiet. Controlled. Like a wire pulled tight, waiting to snap. A week into sleeping on Darren's couch, I ran into someone else I never expected to hear from. Her name was Carla. Used to be friends with Tanya. They worked together briefly at a furniture shop downtown, back when Tanya was trying to start a brand and reinvent herself as some kind of homestyling influencer. Carla and I had barely exchanged 10 words back then, but she messaged me on Facebook one night. "Hey, I heard what happened. Can I tell you something?" We met in the back lot of her workplace. She didn't want to be seen talking to me, which told me whatever she had to say wasn't small. She lit a cigarette with shaky hands. I probably shouldn't even be doing this. Tanya would flip if she knew. I just waited. "She's been lying to everybody," Carla said. "Telling people you were abusive, that you screamed at her, that you threatened Leo." My jaw tightened. "That's a damn lie." "I believe you," she said quickly. "I never saw any of that. You were quiet. Maybe uptight about money, but who isn't these days? Why are you telling me this?" She hesitated. "Because she's using that story to paint herself as a victim. She told people you abandoned her, that you left without warning." My stomach turned. "She kicked me out." "I know," Carla said. "She's rewriting everything. Says you didn't help with the house, that you were freeloading. I paid the bills. I fixed the damn roof hours before she tossed me. She's twisting it. All of it. And Leo's backing her up." Of course he was. That little bastard was probably running his mouth all over town, acting like some hero for setting his mom up with his boss. Carla took another drag. "Anyway, I just thought you should know. I went back to Darren's that night and just sat on the edge of the couch for hours, staring at nothing. That was the moment the guilt kicked in. Not because I thought I did something wrong, but because I let it all happen. I let Tanya take over the finances. I let Leo disrespect me. I let myself believe I was doing the right thing by keeping the peace. Now look where I was. Living out of a duffel bag, eating takeout, hoping the lawyer I barely knew could win back the house I should have never left in the first place. And still, part of me didn't want revenge. I just wanted peace. To sit in my own damn chair. To sleep in my own bed. To stop feeling like a stranger in the story of my own life. Jack called me the next day. The court had approved the eviction notice. He told me the sheriff's department would serve Tanya and Leo within the week. "You'll get your house back," he said. "But I'm warning you now, it's not going to be clean." "What do you mean?" "They're not going to leave quietly." And he was right. Because as soon as that notice hit the door, everything started spiraling. Tanya started calling me again. I didn't answer. Left her on read. She went from cold texts, "We need to talk," to threats. "You're not going to get away with this." Then back to begging. "Please, let's just split things fairly. We were married, Mark." I didn't reply to any of them. Forwarded every message to Jack. Leo tried too. He actually left a voicemail once. His voice wasn't smug anymore. It was angry. "You're going to regret this," he said. "You think you can just throw us out like garbage? We built that home. We? That house was mine long before either of them walked through the front door." I sat in the van that night, engine off, streetlight flickering outside, and played that voicemail one more time. Then I deleted it. Whatever we had was over. And soon, they'd be gone for good. The day the sheriff was scheduled to serve the eviction notice, I didn't sleep. I tossed around on Darren's couch the whole night, heart racing like I was gearing up for a fistfight. My lawyer, Jack, told me I didn't have to be there. "The deputy will handle it," he said. "Stay away if you think it'll get emotional." But I wanted to see it. Not out of pettiness. I just needed to look them both in the eyes. I needed to see their faces when the reality set in, that they didn't win. That I didn't just crawl off and disappear. So at 8:45 that morning, I parked down the street from my own house. I watched the county patrol car pull up, followed by Jack in his beat-up Corolla. The sheriff's deputy stepped out with a folder under his arm, calm as could be. Jack waved me over. "Stay back unless they push," he said. "Don't say anything unless I tell you to." I nodded. My palms were sweating. My legs felt too stiff. My damn heart wouldn't shut up. The deputy rang the bell. Leo answered the door in basketball shorts and no shirt. Looked like he just rolled out of bed. Tanya came around the corner in a bathrobe, barefoot, confusion turning to fury when she saw me standing a few steps behind the deputy. "What the hell is this?" she said, voice rising. "Ma'am," the deputy said, completely unfazed, "this is a court-ordered eviction. You and your son are required to vacate the premises within 48 hours. He handed her the envelope. Tanya looked at it like it was covered in dirt. "This is my house," she snapped. "No, it isn't," Jack cut in. "Mark is the sole legal owner, and we've provided documentation to the court. You were given time to respond. You didn't." Tanya's face changed. Not just angry now. Scared. "You can't just throw us out," she barked, stepping forward. We've lived here for years. We made this a home. Jack stayed calm. You illegally borrowed against the house with a forged signature. You emptied his bank account. You kicked him out. And you've been living here rent-free ever since. Leo stepped up then, puffed out his chest. This is bullshit, he said. You think a piece of paper makes you a man? I stepped forward, finally speaking. You kicked me out like a dog. You deserved it, he spat. The deputy held up a hand. That's enough. You've got 48 hours to clear out. If you're still here after that, we come back. With a moving crew and a judge's order. Tanya tried one last play. Her voice softened. Mark, we were married. 7 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I stared at her. Her hair was messy, eyes puffy. She looked smaller than I remembered. More desperate than dangerous. But all I could see was that note on the fridge. You're dead weight. I found a real man. You made your choice, I said. Now I'm making mine. She clenched her fists like she wanted to slap me. Instead, she turned and slammed the door shut. Over the next 48 hours, my phone blew up. Calls. Texts. Voicemails. Tanya switched between threats and pleading. This isn't fair. You're being cruel. You'll regret this. Please, just give me more time. Leo messaged me once. Hope you like living alone, asshole. You'll be begging us to come back. I didn't answer any of it. Just forwarded everything to Jack. When I returned with the sheriff 2 days later, I wasn't sure what to expect. A barricade? Screaming? More lies? Instead, there was a U-Haul in the driveway. Tanya stood on the porch with her arms crossed. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were red. Her mouth was tight. Everything's gone, she said. Hope you're happy. I walked past her without a word and stepped inside. The place was a wreck. Furniture gone. Walls scuffed. One cabinet door missing. The pantry had been cleared out like they were afraid I'd sue them over a can of soup. They hadn't taken anything permanently attached, appliances, light fixtures, but the place felt hollow. Like someone had ripped the soul out of it. I walked through the hallway. My bedroom was empty except for the mattress I'd bought years ago. They'd left it behind. Too big for the truck, maybe. There were holes in the drywall in the living room. Looked like someone punched straight through it. Tanya followed me in, slow and quiet. You didn't have to do this, she said. I turned to her. You emptied my wallet. Took a loan in my name. Lied to everyone. I was trying to survive, she snapped. You think being with you is easy? I didn't rise to it. Just said, you need to go. Now. She didn't move. Her voice dropped to something almost gentle. I don't have anywhere to go. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't think of that before kicking me out? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Behind her, Leo was loading the last of the boxes into the U-Haul. He didn't look at me. The deputy stood at the door, arms crossed, watching it all unfold. I need the keys, I said. She fumbled in her pocket and handed them over, her fingers brushing mine like maybe she wanted a moment. But I didn't give her one. I took the keys, turned my back, and didn't look over my shoulder as they walked out. That night, I slept in my own bed. The mattress was bare. No sheets, no pillows. But it didn't matter. I lay there, staring at the ceiling for a long time. The silence was strange. Heavy. Almost unfamiliar. No footsteps. No TV in the other room. No late-night fights about money or Leo stomping around. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt hollow. Not because I wanted her back. That part of me was dead and gone. But because I realized I didn't know who I was without all the damage. 7 years of bending, compromising, walking on eggshells, gone in one cold morning. And now I had to figure out who I was when I wasn't holding someone else's world together. The next morning, I started cleaning. The walls first, patched the holes, scraped off their leftover picture hangers, painted over the scuff marks. I threw away what little trash they left behind. Scrubbed the bathroom. Took out bags of junk. It felt good. Like reclaiming something that had been slowly taken from me piece by piece. Darren came by later with beer and pizza. We sat on the back porch on 2 folding chairs, only furniture I had left. She looked pissed, he said, taking a sip. They both did. Think they'll come back. I shook my head. Not if they know what's good for them. He raised his beer. Here's to getting your house back. I clinked mine against his and didn't say anything. Because even though I had the house, I hadn't gotten everything back. There were pieces of me still missing. But at least now, I had space to find them again. A week passed after I got the house back. The silence was still unfamiliar, but not unwelcome. I spent my evenings patching drywall and repainting the bedroom walls. Tanya had picked this awful seafoam green a couple years ago, called it Coastal Serenity. I repainted it a plain, warm gray. My choice this time. The first decision in that house I'd made for myself in a long time. The nights were harder. Even with new locks and a basic security system installed, I slept with one ear open. Not because I expected an apology, but because I expected another mess. That gut feeling hadn't gone away. Jack kept me updated. The fraud complaint was moving forward. The bank had launched their own investigation into the forged loan, and from what he told me, Tanya wasn't going to talk her way out of it. Forgery's a felony in this state. Even if the DA offered her a plea deal, she'd carry the stain. Leo, on the other hand, had been completely cut off. I removed his name from every emergency contact, canceled the old credit card he'd used for gas. Didn't owe him a cent, legally or emotionally. The last thing I'd heard, he dropped out of school. Apparently, Steve, the boss he set Tanya up with, had ghosted both of them. Figures. The peace shattered just after midnight a few days later. I'd just started dozing off when I heard a loud pop followed by a thud downstairs. I shot up in bed, heart racing, still half in a dream. Then the unmistakable sound of glass breaking. I grabbed my phone with one hand and the revolver I kept in the bedside drawer with the other. I'd never wanted to keep a gun in the house before. Tanya hated the idea. But now, I needed the insurance. I crept down the hallway, revolver held low but ready. My finger wasn't on the trigger, but it was damn close. I peeked into the kitchen, and there they were, Tanya and Leo, in my house. Again, the back window was shattered, glass everywhere. Tanya was rifling through the drawer by the fridge. Leo had a crowbar. A fucking crowbar. They didn't see me right away. I stepped out just far enough for my voice to carry. Don't move. Tanya jumped like she'd been electrocuted. Leo turned toward me, crowbar halfway raised. His eyes wild. Put it down, I said, voice cold. Tanya froze. Mark, listen. I said put it down. Leo didn't move. I could see his mind racing, debating whether to try something stupid. His grip on the crowbar tightened. So I fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The sound was deafening. My ears rang immediately. Plastered dust rained down like snow. Tanya screamed and dropped to her knees, hands over her head. Leo flinched, took one step back, then dropped the crowbar with a clank. My hands shook, but I kept the revolver trained low and firm. What the hell are you doing? I snapped. Tanya's voice cracked. I left something. I needed my documents. Leo's papers. Things you. Bullshit, I spat. You broke in. With a crowbar. What were you looking for? My banking info? Jewelry? More things to pawn. Leo's face twisted into a sneer. You don't deserve this house. You think you're better than us? You left us with nothing. You left yourselves with nothing, I said. I gave you every chance. You lit it on fire. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the red light on the security panel blinking. The silent alarm had tripped. Cops were already en route. Sirens wailed in the distance. Tanya crawled to the front door, pleading. Mark, please. We just wanted. Wanted what? One last score before court? A reason to claim I went crazy on you? You're done, Tanya. You broke in. With a weapon. You're finished. I set the revolver on the table and raised my hands when the first officer burst in, weapon drawn. I'm the homeowner, I said. Guns on the table. They broke in. Back window. The officer moved fast, disarming me and cuffing both Tanya and Leo before they could start spinning their stories. Tanya kicked and screamed. Leo cursed like a drunk teenager. But it was too late. Another officer confirmed the broken glass. The crowbar. Their fingerprints. My name on the deed. It wasn't even close. They charged Tanya with breaking and entering, trespassing, and attempted burglary. Leo got hit with the same, plus an additional charge for wielding a weapon during a crime. Jack said it was enough to stick, especially considering Tanya already had a fraud case pending. And this time, no one believed her story. Not the cops. Not the judge. Not even her own sister, who called me later and said, I don't know what the hell's gotten into them. Neither did I. Or maybe I did. Maybe they thought I was too soft, too quiet, too reasonable to fight back. Maybe they assumed I'd go away quietly and let them tear apart what I built. But they forgot something simple. The house was mine. Weeks passed. I started sleeping better. Put up new blinds. Bought a used recliner from a guy on Facebook Marketplace. Picked up a small table from a neighbor down the street who was moving. It wasn't much, but it felt like home again. My home. The court eventually finalized the fraud charges. Tanya took a plea deal to avoid jail, but the judge wasn't lenient. She had to repay part of the loan, serve probation, and was barred from contacting me directly. Leo didn't get off so easy. Community service. A criminal record that'd follow him for years. He avoided jail time only because it was his first offense and he was technically still under 21. I didn't smile, didn't celebrate, but I slept deeper that night than I had in months. I still think about it sometimes. How fast it all crumbled. One day I was fixing a leak in the attic. The next, I was watching my wife walk out with a man I'd never met and a son who wanted me gone from the beginning. And I let it happen for years, telling myself I was doing the right thing. Turns out, the right thing sometimes means walking away. Other times, it means standing your ground.